Welcome back to Phoenix. The GM Goodwrench Delco Battery 200 is on the pace lap. Let's show you how they'll line up today. There's a lot of them here. Jack Sprague has his first career pole. Bill Sedgwick, his second front row start, the two-time Winston West champ. Mike Skinner, seven-time winner and the point leader. And Ted Musgrave, a chassis specialist. That's why Jack Roush has him out here running a truck at Phoenix. Ernie Irvin, third at Bakersfield 2 weeks ago. And Ken Schrader, who won at Saugus in April. Jeff Bodine, 3 second-place finishes in 9 starts in the trucks this year. And 94 Busch champ David Green driving an Earnhardt truck. A.J. Foyt starts 9th in his super truck debut. He's a rookie at age 60 in this series, as is Dave Marcus driving Richard Childress' second truck. Rick Corelli, second at Flemington in August, and Joe Ruttman, a 2-time winner. Joe Bessie, 4th here in February. Kenny Wallace. Johnny Benson Jr., the Busch champion, and Mike Chase, last year's Winston West champ. Scott Lagasse has 7 top 10s this year. Mike Bliss, winner at Wilkesboro. Sammy Swindell, a 4th at Bristol, his best this year. And Dennis Setzer, 2nd at Milwaukee. Dave Rezendes, 7 top 10s. And Ron Hornaday Jr., a 6-time winner and 3rd in the points. Butch Miller, who won at Denver. And Bob Keselowski, ARCA champ. John Borneman Jr. and Steve Portengay, the NASCAR Southwest Tour champ. Carlos Serrano from Tucson. And Jimmy Hensley from Virginia. David Smith and Bill Venturini, the former ARCA champ. Andy Hillenberg. And NASCAR's first Japanese driver, Kenji Momoda, makes his debut. Toby Butler and John Nemechek. Bob Strait and Garrett Evans, the Northwest Tour driver. Walker Evans, the off-road famer, and T.J. Clark, Bob Brevek, and Mike Hurlburt. That's your starting lineup. You'll be riding along the Total Petroleum Chevron Racing number 6. That's Rick Corelli out of Denver, Colorado. And also Jack Sprague, the Performance Friction Hella Lights number 18 for Johnny Benson Jr. The Precision Gear truck owned by Kurt Rohrig. And Benson, the Busch Series champion. Had a little motor trouble in qualifying, a little back in the field. Here is Joe Ruttman in the 1-800 Collect Ford. Number 2 point man, trying to win the title today. Mike Bliss, winner at Wilkesboro. In the Ultra Wheels ASE Ford. Baby wishes to Jim Smith, the owner of that truck, and his wife, Marlene. 8-pound, 14-ounce Melissa Ann welcomed into the world this weekend. So Jimmy's going to miss the race, or hope he's in the hospital watching.
Yeah, he might be. Barry Dotson's a crew chief, I guess, on that truck that Mike drives. Helped him over there at North Wilkesboro to a win, so we'll see what he can do today.
All right, let's get at it, folks. To finish off the inaugural season of Super Truck by Craftsman Series Racing, Jack Sprague brings them down for the green. Does he get a jump on Bill Sedgwick?
Yeah, Sedgwick just did not go. There goes Skinner, there goes Ernie. Sedgwick wasn't quite ready for that one, I don't think.
He's 4th, but coming back. It's alongside Ernie Irvin, a little loose there in turn 2. Sedgwick slots in 3rd in that Spears Manufacturing Chevy.
See Kenny Schrader there in the 52 Delco car. He's moving up on the outside. Seems to be handling quite well on the outside of the racetrack.
Well, the track's in real good shape, buddy. Last practice out there and of course qualifying was pretty indicative of that. The heat doesn't seem to bother this racetrack like it does a lot of them. It's 90 degrees out there right now, but these cars or these vehicles or these trucks or what are we going to call them today? They still handle pretty well. Okay, Mike, it's your turn to say car.
Oh, I already have. It cost me $1. To the Snell Foundation for Helmet Research. More on that later. Out of turn number 4, Jack Sprague, the pole sitter, will bring them Ernie Irvin side by side.
Whoa, Ernie.
Whoa, Ernie. That truck is some kind of loose. You can see him coming out of the corner. That's Jeff Bodine moving up on his brother there. Stand corrected. That's Ted Musgrave in the Jack Roush number 61.
Musgrave makes the move on the outside. Bodine will have to drop in. Ford unveiled its 1997 F-150 pickup at the SEMA show in Las Vegas last week, and boy, is it a slick, aerodynamic looking piece. You will probably see it in this series beginning in January when it hits the showrooms.
Well, that's one of the benefits of the manufacturer being involved in something like this, Mike. It gives them a chance to make the product better.
And you'll see factory back trucks from Dodge as well in this series next year. Joe Bessie, number 9, had a tough day at Rockingham last week.
That's Johnny Benson in the 18 just on the outside of him. They're running side by side. You see Mike Bliss moving up on the right-hand side there. And just behind him is A guy that's running super well right now had a terrible qualifying time in the Dale Earnhardt truck, which is Ron Hornaday Jr.
Hornaday in red and white. On the outside, Mike Bliss.
Yeah, I talked to Doug Richard, and he said, boy, did we mess up. He said they're lucky to have the truck in one piece because it was really loose. A lot like it is right now, actually. It doesn't look like they helped it a whole lot.
No, he's pretty loose, and the middle part of the corner is turning sideways.
Fourth place battle at 61 is an unfamiliar looking truck, but Ted Musgrave of Franklin, Wisconsin is in it as Jeff Bodine uses a little bumper on the back of Bill Sedgwick in 75 there.
Yeah, he gave him a little Carlin card then. He gave him a little tap on the back just to let him know I'm a little bit faster and this early in the race you need to let me go.
You know, I'm anxious to see and interesting to watch here. These things go into corners side by side because that's where you can get the air taken off the spoiler, as may be just what happened.
Steve Portengay and Butch Miller have gotten together. Miller's car is limping around out of turn number 2, and the first caution of the day is out. The Coffee Critic number 83 for Steve Portengay, last year's Southwest Tour champ out of Ukiah, California. Mission Linen, now that's a longtime sponsor of Winston West race cars out here on the West Coast, and that's not the new 97 Ford pickup. That's missing in action pieces.
That's Jaws right there.
Yes, it is.
Coming at you.
First caution of the day comes out on lap 6. We'll be right back to Phoenix. Getting set for the restart. Dennis Setzer was on pit road, and so was Steve Portengay. Here's the tail end of it. Portengay's already around here.
You see Butch Miller on the bottom. He tried to go under him. He just couldn't make it.
No. That's what I was talking about, buddy, when we went to when the accident happened. Is these things going in the corner side by side? You're hearing Winston Cup sucking the air off the spoiler. I just wonder at this speed, this is one of the fastest racetracks they run these things on, if that had any effect on that truck at all, or does it have any effect on those when they go in there like it? I think it probably does.
Good possibility. They're going to run some bigger, faster tracks next year. Homestead, Florida is where this series will open in March of 1996. There's talk of races. No schedule's been announced yet, but there's talk of races at New Hampshire and at the new facility course down in Homestead, possibly here in out in Las Vegas at the new racetrack there. Green flag, and we're back to racing to begin lap number 10.
Well, I don't think it's any accident that Sprague was on the pole, because he has maintained that position and actually pulled away from the 3 truck.
Joe Ruttman you're riding with, second place point man, Ron Hornaday's teammate just behind, and we're told that Joe Ruttman has lost radio communication with his crew. He is in 11th place.
Look at Ron Hornaday going in the corner, Mike. You could see him come right up on the tailgate of the truck there as he got into the corner. He's one of the most aggressive drivers I've ever watched in traffic.
Lead change. Mike Skinner wants to win this championship going away.
Boy, he made it look easy too. I mean, that was just pull out and go.
I think I actually got
trouble turn
off turn
2. Yeah. Big spin down to the inside goes TJ Clark.
The yellow is not out yet because he's off the racing surface.
Now, if you watched our series all year, Clark usually drives a Ford. They had problems with that truck, so this was a truck that did not make the field, put his number 23 on it, and now caution waves for the second time today.
Just as I was bragging on Sprague, he is, I don't know, he's gone backwards big time. He's back to 4th place, or actually back to 5th place now, and something seemed to go amiss on that unit.
Ernie Irvin moved up in the 2nd.
And we had a bit of smoke from one truck, looked like Jimmy Hensley's. There's TJ Clark.
They're just getting loose, getting down into turn 1 there. That's a real high-speed part of the track, getting into turn 1.
Darrell, how many times you seen a driver try to catch one? That thing took a bite back to the right there, and then the rest of it was history.
It's I think I can, oh no.
That's it.
Kenji Momoda and Jimmy Hensley just make it through.
Yo.
Ow.
So we're under caution for the second time, with Mike Skinner having taken the lead. Ernie Irvin is up to 2nd. Ted Musgrave is 3rd. Jeff Bodine is 4th. We'll be right back. We're under caution here at Phoenix. That truck that TJ Clark just spun, he blew an engine in his own Ford. And this truck that Ron Esau came here to drive and did not make the field, the ASE Mega Power Chevrolet, was the car that TJ spun. minor damage to the left front out there in turn number 2. Now here is your pole sitter Jack Sprague, who suddenly dropped back, surrendered the lead to Mike Skinner. Glenn, what's up?
Well, Mike, on the restart, when Jack came down into turn 1 in the middle of 1 and 2, the truck got extremely loose. That allowed Mike Skinner to drive under him. But he radioed in. He thought he had a tire going down, but the spotter's looking at the tires now that he's under caution. Everybody in the crew, crew chief Dennis Conner told him he thought it was just rubber buildup. Jack did clean the thing off before the restart there, and so they're trying to convince him that that's what it is. But Sprague is worried. You can see him moving the truck back and forth now, definitely cleaning those tires off, but he thought he had a tire going down. Go to Randy Pemberton now.
Blessing in disguise for Butch Miller, who was involved in that first caution, got an opportunity to come back on pit road. He's going back on the racetrack. They put a couple of pry bars to that, try and get some of the sheet metal away from the right rear. Also a little bit of an electric saw trying to cut away some of that sheet metal. Nothing bent under Butch Miller's truck, but now he's got an opportunity to at least stay on the lead lap and get back out there in the competition. So Butch is okay. Aerodynamically hurt a little bit though.
Randy, he'll need to stay on the lead lap. He's 4th in points, has a chance to close on Ron Hornaday, or might also be overtaken by Jack Sprague today. So Miller, who has 1 win, coming at Denver in a photo finish with Skinner, needs to stay up there on the lead lap to preserve his point position.
Mike Butch has been a constant up front runner all year long, but he's had several times that he got involved in wrecks right at the very first of the races, and it's really hurt his points run this year.
Yeah, and the damage on that truck is mostly cosmetic. These trucks are like regular pickup trucks. There's not a lot back there. There's just the bed of the truck, and so when they get hit in the side like it looks a lot worse than it really is.
So hopefully no tire rub on Miller's truck. He'll be able to continue as we get ready to go back to green. 14 laps complete. This will be 15 complete.
Boy, Sedgwick put a move on Jack Sprague there up on the outside, or at least he's trying to. And if Jack's got a tire going down, that could be trouble.
Now they might have touched just a little bit right there as they got in the middle of turn 2. Sprague will hold the spot. Jeff Bodine tracking Ted Musgrave for 3rd spot down into turn 3, and Rick Corelli up on the outside of Dave Marcus right there on the right side of your screen.
Yeah, you're not having double vision. The 31 is Dave Marcus, and the 3, of course, is Skinner, our points leader, but they look so much alike. That one kind of fades away when you look at them on the racetrack.
Yeah, and that's just an insurance policy for the champion or for the would-be champion. If something had happened to Skinner's truck in practice or before the race started, he could have gotten in that truck and still gotten the points and still been the champion.
And if something should happen to the 84 here, Joe Ruttman, having that 31 car up in the field increases the distance between Skinner and Ruttman in the points should it come down to that.
Exactly.
Well, that's David Green in the 76 car truck going in the corner there, and just behind him is Hornaday. Those are team cars also, and they have Joe Ruttman kind of sandwiched in the middle there.
If you say cars, is that $2?
It's getting there. Cha-ching, the cash register just keeps going.
I didn't say car. I backed up here.
Okay. Sammy Swindell has brought his channel lock forward on the pit road. And I believe that 30 truck is smoking pretty badly too.
Yeah, that's Jimmy Hensley.
That's Hensley, isn't it?
Yep.
There you see Hornaday up there in the 16 truck. He went in really hard, and he seemed to be skating out just a little bit, but he can't hold that bottom line when he run in hard. So you might be right. Aerodynamic might be playing a part right now.
And of course, we've run just long enough to get the tires kind of get the new worn off of them, and the trucks with a better chassis, the best setups, are going to really start to show up here.
Now, during this first half of the race, and again during the second half, drivers are not allowed to come in and change tires unless they are flat. No tire changes under caution, no changes under green. Oh, here's Joe Ruttman. You saw he had a handful of steering wheel trying to get around David Green.
Well, Joe's on a mission right now. He has to get to the front of this field and try to beat Mike Skinner, but they're in a real rigid battle for the points championship, and he needs to go right now.
So Ruttman will try the bottom. Truck wiggles a bit coming off 4.
He give David Green just a little wake-up call, let him know, yeah, I'm still down under you here.
I know Skinner came here and tested for a couple of days. I'm not sure if Ruttman did or not, but that testing is obviously paid off for Skinner because he's just sitting there riding right now out front where he wants to be.
You're with Joe Ruttman in the Irwin Semo 1-800-COLLECT Ford.
Mike, look at this mirror. You can see how much you can see. It's a Panavision mirror where you can see on both sides of the car. You can see even out the left side of the car with that mirror.
Panavision, is that what you call that?
That's what it's called.
Every
day. See?
I got a whole...
Hang around me, boy.
You'll learn all sorts of new things. Right now, that mirror is all filled up with Rick Corelli, the Total Petroleum Chevy.
There's two of our camera trucks.
Fellow owns that truck. Marshall Chesrone had some pictures from Montana fishing. He got a steelhead trout that looked about the size of a torpedo. They said that thing went 30-some pounds. It was absolutely ridiculous. Looked like some elephant Childress had shot in Africa. It was about as big.
Wow.
That's not going to be popular around a lot of places.
No, I don't think I'd have said that one.
Oh, well. What can they do? Joe Bessie's off the pace in turn number 2, and he's going to take it in the back door and to the garage area.
I think of all the shots we get from in-car camera, right here, that on top of the 6 car of Corelli's, that's about as close to being in the driver's seat as you'll ever see.
Saw Hornaday wave to Kenny Schrader. I don't know if Hornaday got by him and Kenny led him, or I'm not sure what happened there, but I saw him waving to him.
Back up front, Mike Skinner has led 13 of the 20 races this year, and on 8 races he has led the most laps. Leaders starting to come into traffic here. Let's check with Larry McReynolds.
Mike, I talked to Jimmy Smith, crew chief for Ernie Irvin. He said the first 10 or 12 laps of this race, the truck was very loose, just as y'all had seen. It seemed like once the tires got some air pressure built up in them, it really started to come around. And if you was here yesterday for the short happy hour practice that the trucks got, I believe the 2 best trucks in that practice is at the front of the field right now.
Larry, that last practice is always such a big thrash. Why would they call it happy hour? I've never seen anybody look happy during last practice.
Well, it's kind of one of those deals. It's like how many springs, shocks, and sway bars can you change in an hour? But unlike our hour, these guys got 15 minutes of practice, and that's the only time they've been on the racetrack since qualifying on Thursday.
But you know, Mike, as I alluded to in the opening,
trouble in turn 1. A truck's in the wall and pretty hard. Kenji Momota scraping sparks down through turn number 2. Don't know if he realizes what he's dragging there.
I see a lot of fluid coming out of the back of this truck also, so he's having a lot of problems.
I believe that's the fuel cell.
Off in the dirt now. He's going to bring it to a halt. The Marukatsu, number 71. America's first Japanese-born race driver. He was first alternate for Indianapolis for the 500 a couple of years ago, and he takes a long, hard slide into turn 1. So caution is out once again with Mike Skinner leading Ernie Irvin, Ted Musgrave, Jeff Bodine, and pole sitter Jack Sprague. We'll be right back. Coming up next, the Bud Top Fuel Classic, live drag racing action from Pomona, California here on TNN Motorsports, so stay tuned. Kenji Momota walked away from his truck, the 33-year-old Japanese driver. A bump from the field at Indy, was the first alternate there for the Indy 500, but his profession is broadcast journalism. He's the host for the pilot of Inside Winston Cup Racing Japan. So climbs out of the truck. I guess, Randy, either your job is in jeopardy or he's going to have to go interview himself.
He'll have an interesting story to tell.
I think so. Well, short day for Momota. 1 lap will go back to racing.
You know, Darrell, you were just saying on the break there that how much going in the corner, how fast you're running here. Most people don't realize you're running over 150 miles an hour when you turn in the corner down there.
Oh yeah, it knocked the back of that truck all the way up to the back of the cab, and those things are built just like Winston Cup cars, and that you hit that wall down, you hit it a ton, a half ton in this case.
Oh, I knew it. It had to happen, folks.
Mike Skinner leads. That's Ernie Irvin right there in second. That Napa Auto Parts truck, a Ford. In third, that white truck is Jack Roush's truck. Ted Musgrave aboard. Then Jeff Bodine in the Exide Batteries Ford. The Bud Chevrolet of Jack Sprague. The Spears Chevrolet of Bill Sedgwick is 6th. 7th is Dave Marcus, driving the second GM Goodwrench truck. And here is A.J. Foyt in number 41, the Motorola two-way radio truck.
Well, he started 9th, and he hadn't faded too badly yet. I'm sure he's going to change a few things on that truck when the break gets here.
I would guess so. Said he had Barry Dodson down here to help, and some of his IndyCar crew.
You know, one thing about AJ, though, he's like Darrell or Rusty Wallace or some of the other guys. He can get out there and do anything on that truck he needs to do himself. He's a tremendous mechanic himself.
I have seen him at Indy come in and work on his own IndyCar during the race.
With a big
with a big
wrench.
hammer and a wrench. Get out of the way. Let me show you what to do.
1 to go. They'll run to 63 laps. We have 30 complete, and then take the halftime break that we popularized during winter heat. A.J. Foyt won the first IndyCar race ever staged here, 1964. Backed it up with a win in 65, 71, and 75.
Well, there has never been anybody that can drive an IndyCar or a sprint car or any other kind of car the way A.J. can. He just has an air about him, a cloud about him. It's hard to come by.
Well, they've won Le Mans.
Rare breed.
Everything. He's won every kind of race except super truck that I can imagine.
Yep. Kind of fun to see him out here racing.
He's having fun.
60 years old, and still got a lot of spirit.
Yep. Johnny Benson Jr., Rick Corelli, now you're on board.
Hey, the champ. Forgot about him being out here today. The Busch Series champ.
Johnny Benson.
Mike looked at you like the deer in the headlights.
I'll tell you. I was sitting in the driver's meeting. You know, the guys are walking in the driver's meeting, and one of the NASCAR guys goes, "Hey, champ."
Yeah.
Joe Ruttman turned to me and looked and pointed like, was he talking to me? He's talking to Johnny Benson. That's
right.
right.
That's right.
Benson's already been crowned champion. Skinner and Ruttman are running for this one. Skinner is in the lead. Joe Ruttman takes this restart green flag in 11th place. They lap past Mike Hurlburt down low on the inside, the former motocrosser from Washington.
Well, as ugly as Hornaday's truck was in the very beginning of this race, that young man has picked his pace up here considerably. He just went by Dave Marcus and has now got his sights set on Sedgwick there.
You're riding with Mike Bliss. That's just ahead. That's Joe Ruttman.
Oh, man, that's close on Schrader there, coming out of the corner. Schrader's the AC Delco truck on the outside there. You see Ruttman right up under him there.
And you're about to see David Green coming up the inside here.
That's close racing, folks.
See Ruttman moving over. Schrader don't give you a lot of room, though. He likes to race hard, too, so he's going to make it tough to get by. He's doing everything he can right there. You see Schrader? Maybe they did touch a second ago.
I don't think Schrader was happy about Ruttman taking his position away. Hornaday continues to close. He just got by Sedgwick and is now closing in on Jack Sprague, and that truck looks fast.
Yeah, Hornaday's up to 6th place.
See Mike Bliss there on the outside. That truck is handling extremely well on the outside of the racetrack. He went by Schrader going into the corner. That's pretty hard to do.
And you know, that truck didn't show a lot of speed at Richmond or at Wilkesboro until the second half and late in both segments, same way he did up in Tucson a couple of weeks ago. So they set that thing up for the long haul, and that's one young man that can drive a car or a truck or anything else.
His teammate John Borneman Jr. brings the second Ultra Wheels truck on the pit road, however, for us. Stop and go. And the 29, the Dodge, Winnebago Dodge of Bob Keselowski, comes to pit road, and they're going to put the hood up.
The Dodgers are not having a very good day right now.
No, but I think next year, Darrell, they're going to have a good season. Richard Petty's going to own a Dodge in this series. The Keselowski brothers will be factory supported by Dodge, so will Walker Evans. Kind of surprised Tommy Archer got left out of that deal. His road race cars have won over the last couple of years 58 races and 17 championships for Chrysler Corporation, but he was asked to be on the list and got left off.
I'd have hired him, just set him on the pit wall if nothing else. That's pretty good average there.
Well, he's here trying to put together a deal for next season.
Well, you know, they want to keep him where he is. If he can win that many races in that series, you don't want to take him out of there and put him into something where you're already covered with Richard Petty. So
at 31 there is Dave Marcus. He is really trying to get through the. Look at Ernie Irvin closing in on our lead truck right here going in the corner. He gets caught up with the lap over car there.
John Borneman on the inside, just having come out of the pits. Ted Musgrave runs in the 3rd spot. 37 laps complete. 63 or 62 will be halftime. We'll be right back. 41 laps complete, and you're looking at the new leader. The Napa Auto Parts Ford of Ernie Irvin has gone to the front. Here's how he did it.
Boy, on the outside, that's very convincing, isn't it, Darrell?
Well, I tell you, that truck is handling really well. He is really getting in the corner well. And, of course, that's where he passed Skinner there. But I think Ernie might have looked in his mirror and saw some trucks closing up on them, decided to pick the pace up a little bit.
One of those trucks would be Jeff Bodine, then Ted Musgrave and Jack Sprague. Now here's David Green in 76, the Smith & Wesson Chevrolet, just ahead of Kenny Schrader. And let's go to Larry McReynolds.
Mike, I'm here with Kenji Momoto. Kenji, you come all the way out here to Phoenix, qualified for your first super truck race. What happened over there in turn 1 and 2?
So I'm the first Japanese NASCAR driver. First guy hit the wall with a NASCAR super truck. So I chased with the car ahead of me. So almost hit each other, but I tried too much. I stayed too low. I spun out by myself, no hit each other. So Randy McDonald, Marcus Action Performance, and Foil Racing Cars, sorry for everybody. But next time, it doesn't get any closer. Okay, next time.
Where will we see you race next time?
We hope we have a next cruise season with a super truck.
Okay, that's the story from Kenji Momoto.
Mike, he definitely does not have to work on the volume, does he? He's really excited, and you know, he run a good race. He got in there a little hot and just spun out.
He had a great time. So now he's the first Japanese driver to crash a super truck.
Yeah, and not only that, anybody could interview him. All you got to do is ask him what happened, and that's a done deal.
Right, just like Glenn did with Rusty that time. Just hand him the microphone.
That's right.
Perfect. He even got our slogan in there. You can't get any closer.
That's right.
See Jack Sprague there trying to get under
Ted Musgrave.
Ted Musgraves, yeah. Going in the corner there. Couldn't make it. I think Sprague right now is a little bit on the loose side. He's not able to make the moves that he wants to on the racetrack.
But, you know, I believe, Buddy, also that he's kind of gotten over the fact he thinks he has a flat tire. I believe that hindered him for a long time.
Yeah.
I believe he's kind of put that away, and he's picked the pace up a little.
Now the Roush on the side of that truck is not just for Roush Racing, but Roush Industries up in Livonia, Michigan. It does research and engineering for quite a number of industrial firms, including Ford, Chrysler, and GM, and Harley Davidson, and a whole bunch of industrial clients. It's a huge operation and very, very busy in research and development.
They got, I believe I'm correct, in 24 dyno cells that run 24 hours a day. Now, it may have 48 dyno cells, and they run 24 hours a day. I'm not sure, but it is one huge manufacturing facility. It's not just Jack Roush out here playing with his race car or his truck. He is a serious businessman in this country, especially in the automotive industry.
That's Ted Musgrave in that 61, and Jack Sprague right behind Walker Evans in the Dodge, dropping down to the inside.
Well, this is the fight for a fourth position. I think Ted Musgrave's maybe pushing out. You see him using a little. He's using a lot of racetracks. What he's doing, Darrell.
But boy, that makes me draw up when they do that.
You've never done that?
No, well, every time I do, the guy hits me. Oh, shucks. They're two are having a real great race, though. That's Chevrolet against Ford, and that's Hendrick Motorsports against Roush Industries. There's some big names in this series, even though they kind of go at undercover as truck racers.
But the fun thing we talked about earlier is how inexpensive these trucks are to run for a major series. Oh, loose in the wall.
Big trouble. Oil all over the racetrack.
That's David
Turn
Smith
3.
there up against the wall.
There's oil everywhere. Nobody knows it. Ernie's, he got it woed up. It may not be over.
Oh, that's Bill Venturini.
Here's another one. Here's another one.
Walker Evans.
See, if you don't know it's there, you come in there hot and get up high, and into the wall you go.
The two trucks tangled up there in the wall. The yellow one was Bill Venturini, number 35, the ARCA champion, and a truck just came in and slid straight on into Venturini there. That's the number 89 of Dennis Setzer, a Chevy. And
Venturini blew going into the turn there, and that's what started the whole thing.
No, I think it was ahead of Venturini. It was the 12 truck
number 12,
David
okay.
Smith.
Oh, here he is over here. You got it.
The engine let go on the first truck we showed, the blue and white one of Smith.
Walker Evans there has some damage to the nose of his truck. He got clipped after he got stopped up there on the bottom part of the racetrack.
There's the guy.
Now there's Smith, the guy who lost the engine.
Yeah.
And then everything else happened to the right, back behind him. Now there's Bill Venturini. He is okay. Walker Evans is involved. The 0-1 of Andy Hillenberg is involved. The Rain-X truck took a hard shot to the front from Dennis Setzer.
Yeah, now he's just laying down oil right there. Now here comes these guys. They hit the oil and away they go.
Well, David Smith put a lot of oil down, and the thing he did, he went up the racetrack, and when you get in that oil, you follow that oil trail right to the wall.
There's the 89. That truck's owned by John Redding Sr. His son drove it earlier in the season, and passed along our condolences to John. His wife Rosemary passed away a week ago. Venturini being helped from his truck, and Bill Sedgwick comes to pit road. So we'll be right back to sort this out. Tomorrow, live from Phoenix International Raceway, the Duraloop 500 NASCAR Winston Cup race. The action begins at 2 p.m. Eastern Time here on TNN Motorsports. Well, what are they going to do to Ernie Irvan's truck now that he's in the lead? Let's go to pit road.
Well, that's kind of a funny story. In the caution previous to this, Ernie was saying, this is back about 20 laps ago when he was running second, I think we need to change all 4 shocks at halftime. And I think it stood his crew up, but he wanted to change all 4 shocks. All of a sudden, the thing started coming in. He went to the front. And he said, maybe we'll just add a round to bite during halftime. So Ernie's thought better of it at halftime. We'll have to wait and see. One other thing Ernie just mentioned was he thinks he might have made a mistake by taking the lead here, because he is quite confident he's getting around this track good, and he doesn't like the way he's shown the 3 truck how to run the line. So he just made another crack to his crew. He probably should have run second, because he just thinks he gave that away. Glenn Jarrett?
Oh, thanks, Randy. It was a bad day for this Goodyear tire. This is a right rear tire off of Bill Sedgwick's truck. He was involved in that incident, got together with Walker Evans, I do believe. Completely stripped the casing off the tire. One of the guys came by and put the temperature gauge on it a while ago. Over 300 degrees. That's why I'm pointing at it with this pin. I'm not going to touch it. I'm not nearly as stupid as I look. Sedgwick was able to change the right rear tire without penalty. If you got one flat on the rim, you can do that. And obviously this one was flat, guys.
Thanks, Glenn. We're up here counting the votes, but we'll let you know later how it turned out. 53 laps are complete, 9 laps to halftime. We'll be right back to Phoenix live on TNN after this. Totally NASCAR nuts, okay? 54 laps complete here. Nice hat. I saw a guy in a DW hat like that a little bit ago.
Yeah, I did too.
You got one of those hats, you can wear it on the NASCAR family cruise, and people will point at you. It's on the big red boat. December 4th through the 7th. Quite a few of the Winston Cup drivers and their families will be on board. A lot of fun and for a worthy cause. The Winston Cup Drivers' Wives Auxiliary is the beneficiary. Call the number on your screen for more information. Don't sing, buddy.
Man.
Well, they do that just before you leave.
All right. Have you got your tickets for the cruise yet?
Oh, yeah. I'm ready.
All right. Mike Skinner is second in this race. Joe Ruttman is 8th. Ron Hornaday 7th. The way they're listed is the way they are in the points, and on the right, the way they're running in this race. Ernie Irvan, right snuggled up against the pace car.
Yeah.
Mike Skinner in second. And there's a little cool down, a little cool air blower.
Is that what that is?
You don't have to just be a driver to have one.
That's right.
Fans can have them too.
Cool head.
Right.
Did you notice that tape on the Skinner's windshield? To protect, so he can see, keep the sun out of his eyes going down into turn 1 there. You might take a close look at that. It covers up probably half the windshield, and there's others out there that are probably got more than that. You can't see well getting down into turn 1 here late in the afternoon, and that gives the driver a little sun visor. He kind of hides in behind there.
Not like a vent visor, a sun visor.
Yeah, a sun visor. Not that thing you sell.
You know we do have, guys, you got to stop this.
Can you get them at Western Auto?
You might be able to get them at Western Auto.
I was just going to say, we got a little bit of a cloud cover today, so that will not be a big factor, but yesterday it was definitely pretty hard on Southwest Division when they were running out here.
Yeah. By 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it gets pretty tough going down into turn 1.
And the sun lines up right this time of year, right down the front straightaway over the condos and VIP suites rather in turn 1. Let's go to Mike Skinner's pit for something serious.
And we're talking with the team manager, Will Linden. Will, you got out front, you ran out front there. Of course, you wanted to take it easy, but that's what came to you. But as soon as pressure started being applied by Ernie Irvan, you just let him go on by.
Yeah, we got a lot at stake here. If we're in this same situation toward the second half, then we'll race him, but not right now.
Looks like the truck is awfully strong, though.
Yeah, he's comfortable. He doesn't want us to do much to it at halftime, and we'll just see what happens.
Well, he's really comfortable right now riding where he is, following Ernie Irvan around. And like Will says, no need to race right now. Got the whole second half to go.
Well, one thing he doesn't want to have happen, though, is to be too comfortable here and get Jeff Bodine and Ted Musgrave and Jack Sprague and all those guys right up on his back bumper and then have to let them go and find himself in a real heated battle here. Right. He needs to stay right where he is and not lose any more ground for comfort's sake.
Yes, there are still 32 trucks running, and of those, 22 are still on the lead lap. So should something happen to Skinner and he lose a lap, he could lose this championship. Let's check with Larry.
I was talking to the Joe Ruttman crew, and they're not really looking forward to this halftime coming. Joe radioed to the crew a while ago and said the longer the truck runs, the better it gets. So I don't look for a lot of changes on that truck. They talk like they might, besides putting 4 Goodyear tires on, put a little bit of wedge in it just to tighten it up just a little bit on the exit. But seems like the longer it goes, the better he gets.
Thanks, Larry.
Well, we're not that far away from a break here, so all these things will come to pass shortly.
There's your leader, Ernie Irvan. Got a lot of new trucks to show you this week, new to the series. There's the 08 truck, John Borneman. Back behind the pace car, Butch Miller, who spent some time in the pits in the 98, the Ray Bestis Brakes truck. Mike Skinner, of course, the Goodwrench machine. Jeff Bodine, the number 7, the Exide Batteries truck. Here's that new Roush truck. That's Ted Musgrave and pole sitter Jack Sprague. 57 laps are complete. We'll be right back to you live at Phoenix on TNN. Well, I just waved the green flag. Look at them fan out here and chase into turn number 1.
Yeah, what's wrong with Hornaday's trucks is pushing. He got underneath Jack Sprague there, almost got into him, had to lift, and then that let Dave Marcus slide past him.
Now Hornaday's gotten past Marcus once again as they track off into turn number 3. Battling for 6th place. Marcus is in 31. That black Goodwrench truck.
Looks like he's real tight. Hornaday is off of turn 4 here, and then it causes him to lose his momentum.
At the front, Ernie Irvan holding off Mike Skinner for the moment.
I think Mike's got a lot more truck than we see in right now. You see him run up there and take a look just then, and he thought better of it, and that's how you win championships. I think they're looking at the big picture right at the moment.
What Skinner needs to do is not press Ernie too hard so Ernie won't change those shocks.
That's a good point.
Just kind of follow along. Ernie, you're looking good.
All right, halfway, lap 62. So we have taken halfway with Ernie Irvan in the lead. Next time around, it'll be caution and pit stops.
I've been pretty impressed with Jack Sprague, the way he's helped it. You know, he started on the pole, he fell back a little bit. He's just running in 5th spot, and looks like got a lot of truck.
He'll be driving the whole season for Rick Hendrick next year. Quaker State will be the sponsor, and 24 the number. So yellow waves for the halftime break. Something unique to super truck racing. And after a winter heat series, something we lobbied NASCAR that they include for a number of good competitive reasons.
Well, this to me, this is one of the things that makes super truck racing as good as it is. You can take 4 people to the racetrack and literally run one of these trucks on a weekend. You don't have to make any pit stops. You don't have to buy a lot of extra tires. You don't have pit road speed. You don't have lug nuts left off. You don't have any of the problems that you have in Winston Cup racing. Plus, it's economical. Saves these teams a ton of money not having to take 7 or 8 guys to pit one of these things. So I think it's a great move myself.
And also the halftime break, you're not stuck with the setup you started the race with. You can come in and make this truck new and run the second half of the race with a whole different setup if you need to.
I think the concept for the fans, you know, it's a new division. They come in, they work on a truck, and then you have this little deal where a truck that's really not up to speed, you can work on it, change springs, do a few adjustments on it, and go back out and put on a great race. And I think it's fair to the fans, and I like the idea.
I do too. I think it's a great idea. And a lot of the racetracks they go to, they don't even have pits. So how are they going to have pit stops when you got to go outside the racetrack to pit?
Some of the shorter tracks, sure.
I just think they need to leave this series as is. Don't start messing with it.
All right, we're under halftime. There you see Ernie Irvan and Mike Skinner coming on to pit road. There's Jack Sprague. Let's go to Glenn Jarrett in Mike Skinner's pit.
Well, Mike brings it in. I just asked Richard Childress and Will Lynn if they were going to make any changes on the truck. Richard Chuler said, well, maybe just a very slight one. They want to really wait until they get the tires off. Mike is talking to Will Lynn right now about exactly what to do to it. We were monitoring Mike as they took the white flag, or the halfway point there, and they came out to get the caution. Skinner came over the radio and said, man, I should have led that lap. I need the money. But he's not too worried about things right now. I'll get to Mike in just a minute. Don't want to get in the guy's way here. I'll get around to Jack. All right. Mike, things look awfully good. Things look awfully good out there. The truck looks like it's awesome, man.
Yeah, I'll tell you, this thing's pretty good right there. Thought about going ahead and getting that halfway money, but this team keeps reminding me about the big picture. So we'll just, we have a situation like that with a couple to go. I might have to do it a little different next time.
We're going to get out of the way and let them finish work here. You can tell Mike is real cool, calm, and collected about it all. Worried about that money. Randy?
Well, Joe Ruttman sitting in his truck. He's chasing for the championship. Joe, you're not up front yet. What are you going to do to this thing to get it there?
That's a good question. I'm not, we're not dead sure. We're really not real bad, but it just, we're just off enough. I don't want to do the same thing we did at Bakersfield, overcorrect, and I really think it could have been the set of tires we were on, so we're going to be kind of cautious on the changes we make, because I think that, you know, we're off about 1,500 to 2/10. It wouldn't take much to pick up.
Okay, good luck in the second half. He's 88 points behind, chasing Mike Skinner for the title. Mike?
Thanks, Randy. Pit stops continue under this halftime break. It's kind of leisurely. They have roughly 10 minutes to make the repairs. So as Darrell says, you don't need to bring a whole bunch of hired gun, quick wrench tire changers down here, because speed is not such a factor. They'll line back up the way they were running. Well, Ernie Irvin is changing something. Maybe it's not springs and shocks, but he's out of the car having a run around here.
Yeah, you know what it is, Mike? I think it's hot. I mean, I remember at Topeka on that road course at the break, it was terribly hot in those trucks, and you don't get a lot of air moving around in there, and you got that little bitty cab, and you got to get out and get some ice and some water and cool down a little bit.
Larry, is that the short? What's going on there?
Okay, I've been waiting to do this interview for a long, long time. All right, Ernie, you got the halfway money. I've been walking up and down pit road, and they've been talking about you going to change these shocks. Now, what's the deal?
Well, we tried some on the Winston Cup car, and we really liked them. So I said, man, let's just have 4, and we'll change them during halftime. So we kept running and kept talking about how we're going to change them, and we come to the conclusion, we better just go ahead and just put 4 tires on this thing, put around a wedge in it, and get ready to go again.
You sure you don't want me to help you change the sway bar?
You know, I was thinking about that. That's what I asked him, if you wanted to change that bar, but you know, they will start the race without me.
Okay, what kind of adjustments are you going to make on this truck?
Just gonna make a little air pressure and just one rounder wedge, and you know, the truck's really handling pretty good. But you know, I tell you, Skinner and them do a real good job with their truck as far as stepping it up on the halftime. So I think we'll have something for him anyway.
Okay, guys, it'll be interesting to see if Ernie can stay out front.
Mike, what they were referring to was Ernie was running right up in the front at North Wilkesboro, and they wanted to make a change on the bar, you know, at halftime, and they couldn't get the bar back in, get it hooked up, so it was the end of the day for him. That's what they were laughing about when they said you want to change the sway bar.
Yeah, and they will start without you, because they did start without him.
That's right. Well, you see the work continuing here along pit road during the halftime break. Time for us to take just one little halftime break as well. We'll be right back with you live at Phoenix after this. Well, we were talking about all the young drivers in this developing series, and here they are. 17 drivers in today's race, and some rumored to be running Super Treks next year. Our 40 years are older. A.J. Foyt is 60, Walker Evans, Dave Marcus, the oldest drivers in this race, Jimmy Hensley. And look there down at the right column. Glenn Jarrett, 86.
Oh, they got that. It's 68. I know he's 68.
No.
He's not 86. I know for a fact he's 68.
The numbers from the IQ test came back.
Oh, they did?
That's what it was.
Well, I know that head's been on 2 bodies. I know that for sure.
Glenn is 45.
Man.
Caliber.
Are you sure?
Well, I think so.
Daryl, I have to tell you, he's a pretty good-sized boy.
Oh, yeah, he's friendly. Besides that, he's trying to get a truck.
Yeah, he is. And he's in Jack Sprague's pit. Glenn?
Well, thanks, guys. And I don't even know what to say about all that stuff you guys are talking about me. What I want to know, though, is, Daryl, I always thought you were only 4 years older than me, and I remember going to the racetrack when I was 2 years old pulling for you, and you were like 35 then. We're going to talk to Dennis Conner. He's the crew chief for Jack Sprague. And Jack thought he had a cut tire there. Obviously, that wasn't the situation, Dennis, but he fell back a little. Did you make some changes?
Well, we only made a couple of changes to the Budweiser Chevrolet. We changed the air pressure just a very minute amount, went up 1 notch on the right side of the Panhard car. He's really happy with what he had, and he was kind of waiting to get to the second half, and it's kind of a roll of the dice. Maybe we didn't go far enough, and maybe some of the other guys that weren't quite as good as us went further, so just have to wait and see how it comes out. But we're awful glad to have been able to be on the pole out here, and we've run in the top 5 in the first half, so we'll see how the second half comes out.
Well, like I said, he rolled the dice. For all you people that pay attention, Dennis Conner is the husband of Gail Conner, who keeps laps for us. Mike?
Thanks, Glenn. Our lap charter, Gail, who saved our necks once again at Rockingham. All right, let's get racing here.
Here we go.
Halftime's over, and the second half begins. And on the kickoff, it's Ernie Irvin returning to turn 1. They pick up right where they left off.
Well, it seemed like in the first segment it took Ernie's truck a little bit longer than it did Skinner's to get going, but looks like Ernie's got he's got the bit loose in that thing and let it go now.
New tires didn't change much. What happened down at Jeff Bodine's pit, Larry?
Mike, I talked to Paul Andrews, kind of pulling double duty, looking after the Winston Cup car as well as the Super Truck. Paul run up here during the halftime break. They took a tire temperature on the truck to see what kind of temperatures the tires were showing, what kind of balance the truck had. It showed just a little bit loose. So they put a little bit of wedge in the truck, and they took a little rebound out of the right front shock, which will not hold that corner down as long in the corner. So Jeff was a little unsure if he had anything for those top 2 trucks, so we'll just have to see.
Battle for the lead. Ernie Irvin surrenders it to Mike Skinner, not willingly, you can bet.
No, but you know what Paul Andrews is doing? A lot of guys try things on these trucks today to see how they're going to work, thinking they might want to try something, like that tomorrow on their Winston Cup cars. You heard Ernie talking about shocks off the Winston Cup car, maybe on the truck today. So the information you gain today can be something you can use tomorrow.
Mike, this is exactly a carbon copy of the start of the race. If you remember, Mike Skinner jumped out to a big lead. Ernie held on there. Then he started tracking him down. I think Ernie's truck gets much better after a long run.
Darrell, didn't you do that when you ran the truck at Richmond? Pulled the shocks off and tried them on the Winston Cup car?
Oh, yeah. And for some odd reason, the V8 engine with the big carburetor on it in the truck is very compatible to the V8 engine we run in the Winston Cup car. It makes a similar power. And so the chassis are very similar in these 2 vehicles.
Out front, Mike Skinner. Second, Ernie Irvin. There's Jeff Bodine being hounded by Jack Sprague and Dave Marcus in the 31. You can tell Marcus apart from Skinner because of the orange stripe across the windshield and the grill.
Yeah, and we just watched him a second ago down the back straightaway, make it 3 wide and go right through the middle of 2 trucks down the back straightaway. So Marcus is letting it all go right now.
I believe that Skinner might be too. I don't know what they were talking about Childress being a little uptight and they had to calm him down, but he's told these 2 drivers to turn them loose, let them go.
See Jeff Bodine here having a real fight with Jack Sprague down the front straightaway here. Looks like Jeff was going to take the spot going into turn 1.
And Marcus looking on the inside.
Marcus will pass them both down the back chute.
Wouldn't surprise me. Gets his right wingtip down to the floor and gets a little bit into the side of Jack Sprague.
Yeah, that was a little more than just casual contact, but neither one meant to do that.
And a guy that's kind of lurking in the back there is Ron Hornaday. He's kind of watching this whole thing, and I've been surprised Ron hadn't been able to make a little bit stronger move to the front than he has.
I have too. Also Rick Corelli.
Yeah, they ran so well here in the spring, and those guys have raced here a lot. They know this racetrack better than, say, a Dave Marcus does.
Now David Ift, the new crew chief for Rick Corelli, as he battles with Kenny Schrader side by side. You ride with Mike Bliss.
See Hornaday there trying to get to the outside. He's looking to the inside. He really has nowhere to go right now as long as these 2 trucks fight side by side as they're doing right now.
And I don't believe Sprague's truck's near as good as it was on the get-go of the first segment. Whatever minor changes they made don't seem to be helping him that much.
Well, we'll see what happens as we get into a long run here.
Okay, you see Hornaday there going by Marcus on the outside. He's trying to get track position, but just can't quite do it, Mike.
That's the Papa John's Pizza number 16 for the Palmdale, California driver. Former Southwest Tour, 2-time Southwest Tour champ.
Marcus kind of got down on that inside, and it's really pinching, it's taking the momentum away from him getting off the corner. Watch that truck on the outside, how it'll pull right past him as they come up onto the straightaway. It's just a freer line up high like that. You'll see the same thing off turn 4 down here.
Well, look at Marcus drop it down hard into the corner.
Yep.
Nobody's told Dave Marcus. I got to tell you guys something. There's not a guy out there that's any tougher to pass than Dave Marcus. Anybody that's ever raced against him knows that.
But the outside line, if you get your truck working good out there, you just carry so much more speed out onto the straightaway.
Ask Dave Marcus about next year. Marcus is 54. He said if the right deal comes along, I'd consider putting somebody in my Winston Cup car, the right deal and the right situation. But right now, he says, I'm planning on driving it next season myself. Good for him.
He's still in real good shape, and, you know, he's still a hard charger. And, you know, when you're an independent, you own your own equipment, you know you know how hard to run it, you know what you can do. That's probably the best thing for Dave to do right now.
And Joe Ruttman coming up alongside. You're riding there with Mike Bliss. Ruttman just behind. This is for 7th place. And also here comes David Green in the second Papa John's truck.
Well, Marcus just doesn't want to get up off that bottom groove, and it's costing him dearly. He's making time in some places, but he's losing so much more in places where he can pass.
Well, he's wiggling quite a bit. You see the back of the truck there coming out of the corner. He's a little bit loose down low, but he's just driving with everything he got right now, trying to get by. You see Bliss there get sideways coming out of turn 2.
Well, that'll help Marcus. That'll give him a freer line off the corner now and keep him being pinched down low. But as we maybe look back up toward the front, Ernie is starting to reel the 3 truck in just ever so slightly.
Caution free in the second half of the race so far. It's Mike Bliss behind Dave Marcus, just ahead of David Green now, and Joe Ruttman back. These two trucks were inches apart last time by Jeff Bodine in the X-Side number 7 and the Budweiser 25, our pole sitter Jack Sprague.
Yeah, that's for 4th and 5th. Another guy that's just ahead of Jeff there, Bodine, is Ted Musgrave. His truck is better this half than it was the first half.
David Green?
That's David Green in the 76 truck. He's moving quite well. He's keeping a real nice tight line down low. He's overpassing the car, but watch him just turn left. Well, as I say that, he runs a straight line all the way through the corner. But if you want to be wrong one time, all you have to do is just say something about a driver and his line around the racetrack, and he'll change it.
Especially when he's got Smith & Wesson on the side of his truck.
You got it.
Yeah.
He run anywhere he wants to.
He can't on my track.
That's right.
77 laps complete here at Phoenix in the Super Truck Series finale. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Phoenix. Mike Joy with Buddy Baker and Darrell Waltrip, Glenn Jarrett and Randy Pemberton. The GM Goodwrench Delco Battery 300. Opryland USA is the official destination of NASCAR. Call the number on your screen Monday through Friday for more information about Opryland USA. Maybe that's where Mike Skinner's headed if he wins this championship.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you think Dale Earnhardt is a test driver for Mike Skinner, or do you think Mike Skinner is a test driver for Dale Earnhardt?
Yes.
Because it sure doesn't hurt to have a Dale Earnhardt on the team that you're on, developing stuff that you can use on your truck. I tell you that.
Pretty good.
That truck he's just on a string. He's not fighting the wheel. He's running right where he wants to. And he's going to win the championship.
And most importantly, he's out front.
Way out front.
Now, Ernie Irvin is close to within a second.
There he is, yeah.
There's Irvin. Larry McReynolds is hanging around Ernie's pit.
Okay, I checked in with Ernie Irvin's crew. Just like the first segment, at the beginning of the run, the truck just wasn't quite as good as it had been at the end of the run. Then all of a sudden it started coming in, started getting a little bit better. But now, unlike the first segment, it's went to a little bit looser condition. The rear's just not biting. And what we got to remember, with as many trucks on the lead lap as they've got here, unlike Winston Cup, if that caution flag comes out, there's not really a whole lot they can do about it.
That's right. They cannot pit for tires.
Well, Larry, if you want to watch something, he's gaining a whole bunch right now. I think it's coming in really well for him.
Actually, being a little loose here is better than having your car or your truck push, because the turns, the way they're made, it's a flat racetrack. You get that thing pushing, you about got to get out of the throttle to get it to turn. Where if you're loose, you can kind of dirt track it, finesse it a little bit, and keep your speed up. But another guy that's really impressing me in this half anyway is Ted Musgrave. He's looking down the back barrel of these two guys in front of him here.
With 40 laps to go, we ride with Johnny Benson. Just ahead was Kenny Schrader. This is from Mike Bliss. That's David Green moving underneath on the inside.
That is the line I was talking about a while ago. You could see him drop right to the bottom of the racetrack, and his truck's really hooked up quite well at the moment.
You can run the bottom of turn 1 and 2 and really feels good. But the hot line and the fast line is to let the thing drift up just a little bit and come out and just barely miss the end of that wall back there as you come out of turn 2. That's when you carry the most speed.
I've seen a bunch of them this week in practice and all kind of brush that wall.
Yeah,
they
you
kind
do.
of misjudge it over there.
You can actually nip that thing a little bit and keep going if you nip it a little bit.
Saw Joe Ruttman there in the picture, not having the best of days. Second place point man is 10th. That would put Skinner 134 ahead of Ruttman.
Well, I believe, Mike, Joe is doing exactly what you have to do when you don't have as fast a vehicle as the man you're racing does. You go for the finish. Hang in there. Be sure that you finish as best you can and hope that the other guy has trouble. That's the only way that Joe has a really good chance of winning this thing, or any chance at all, really.
Pick up this battle with Ken Schrader, the AC Delco number 52 Chevy, Johnny Benson, Kurt Rohrig's Precision Gear number 18 there.
We haven't heard much out of Scott Lagacy today. He's back. Oh, we got trouble off turn 4.
One truck spins, goes around.
Whoa.
John Nemechek, and everybody missed him.
I don't even think we're going to get a caution.
Walker Evans did a super job. He cranked it sideways, went about 4 or 5 truck lengths sideways, and then got her back straight and missed the guy. What a great piece of driving.
There's John Nemechek in the Delco Remy 87. He was a moving chicane, spinning around there in turn 4, and everybody got by.
And there he is, right in front of the leader.
John, of course, is Joe's younger brother out of Lakeland, Florida.
I bet he doesn't try to do. Surely he won't try to do that again.
Let's show it to you again.
Watch the blue and white truck right behind. Watch him cross it up right here. Whoa, baby.
Now Ernie backed off as that happened, and now Ted Musgrave is in second place.
Well, Musgrave is fast.
Yes.
He's been closing, and of course Ernie backing off allowed him to close up even more, but he's right there.
Well, they're fixing to go right up on the back tailgate of Skinner's truck there, because Skinner somehow is starting to loosen up. It looks like he's losing a lot of ground.
Let's go to Skinner's pit, Glenn.
Well, they say that everything is okay. They're watching this heavy traffic right now. They do not like that at all. They want him to get out on free, clear track like he was. And I think that once he gets through the traffic, he may put some distance between himself and Musgrave. Skinner also slowed down. Everybody thought a caution was going to come out, but they're happy right now. They're confident, but they have told Mike that if somebody starts pressuring for the lead, not to fight them too hard. Again, the big picture is what they're looking at.
Well, while we were talking just then, Ernie Irvin retook second place there. He made a crafty move up there in turn 3 and 4 and got himself back in the second spot.
Yeah, really and true, that was all probably the spotter hollering. There's a wreck in turn 4 just ahead of you, back it down, and everybody did, except Skinner. He didn't back down all that much. He kind of got on through there, which allowed Ted Musgrave to really get by Ernie. But I think Ernie's still in real good shape.
Yeah, it's like Mark Martin told me one evening about the spotters. He said, your spotter helps you with the wreck you can't see. The one you can see, you don't need the spotter.
Right.
You kind of know where you're going and you get out of there. So Skinner did not lose as much ground in that incident as, say, Ernie Irvin did.
Well, I think Ernie right now is doing everything he can to prove to everyone that he can drive these things, and you can see he can. There's no doubt about it. What he does not want to do is make a mistake right now, so I'm sure he's being careful.
Larry, what they do on Ted Musgrave's truck during the break?
Well, Mike, it was kind of interesting what they did. They hooked up the rear sway bar, which here at Phoenix will really make the truck turn through the middle of the corner. But to keep it from being too loose off the corner with the rear bar hooked up, they put several rounds of bite in it. And again, it seems like the truck's a lot better this run than the last run. Now, when that caution almost come out a while ago, his crew was really grinning because, again, I was standing right down here. Skinner backed off, Ernie backed off, but Musgrave stayed in the gas, and he almost got all the way back to Skinner's rear bumper.
Ted Musgrave now in heavy traffic trying to lap past Bob Strafe. 94 laps complete. We'll be right back to Phoenix after this. right after our telecast today.
Trouble off turn 4.
One truck has spun, John Borneman, and we will have a caution this time around. Live drag racing coming up next year on TNN for you. Probably be as exciting as this just was. So Mike Skinner the leader, Ernie Irvan second. There's Borneman's car. $1.
Is that his car?
That's it. That's $1. Another $1 for the Snell Foundation. Here's what happened.
See Bodine there on the right rear corner. Looks like he might have touched him, maybe not. I don't know. That's awful close to call.
Well, I know that Jeff ran up onto the back of the 08 truck getting in the turn over there. Now, whether he bumped him or not, I couldn't really say about that. It looked clean back there to me. Not much damage if he did.
No.
To the back of his truck.
Thank you, Daryl.
Now, as
and your other brothers, Daryl.
As you were reading when I so rudely interrupted you.
Quite all right. Here's what happened once again. From the start-finish line.
Well, it turned out there's no good crashes, obviously, but I thought he was going to hit the end of that pit wall there, and that was going to be a whole lot worse than it turned out to be.
You know, we counted up how many times, not counting today, thank goodness, and as there's Borneman's truck, the folks that have said truck the most this year, see, now I'm doing it right, and I'm trying to do it wrong.
There it is, folks.
There it is.
We've given the Snell Foundation $1,108. That's Dr. Richard Schneider representing the foundation, and a representative of Sears Craftsman Tools. All of the TNN and ESPN announcers have chipped into this each time they said car and meant to say truck. The Snell Foundation tests helmets, and they have safety standards. Most every major sanctioning body requires their race drivers to have a Snell helmet, and they also certify helmets for motorcycle and bicycle use as well. We didn't say car 1,108 times. The folks at Sears Craftsman made a very hefty donation to buttress my money, and Glenn's and Benny Parsons. Of course, the three of us, since we talked the most, we said car the most times.
Yeah, I'm a rookie, you know, so
we haven't got much of your money yet,
this
but
is
we
my
will.
first truck race.
Is it?
Yeah, that I got to be up here with.
When you raced in
We
Richmond,
heard
did
you a
say
while
car?
ago. We heard you a while ago. Vehicle.
I see. I figured it. I said I'm gonna call them vehicles.
Well, that ought to be worth 50 cents at least. What do you think, folks?
Oh, they're Fords and Chevrolets and Dodges. That's
What is AJ doing here? He's making it 3 wide, Mike.
Getting ready to lead. Thanks to Maddie and Mary McNally's office out there in California, who toted up all the car mentions all year long. Can we hear the boat horn once again? Perfect. It's the Big Red Boat NASCAR Family Cruise, folks. This is starting to sound like John Boy and Billy here.
It is.
December 4th through 7th. Kyle Petty, Ernie Irvan, Todd Bodine, Ted Musgrave, Steve Grissom, and their families will participate. It benefits the Winston Cup Drivers Auxiliary. R.J. Reynolds, Image South, and Lavelle participate as well. Call the number on your screen and sail away.
I don't know what that flagman's all excited about, but he is shaking his finger big time at somebody, and I know that he would not point his finger at A.J. Foyt like that.
No,
not twice.
So someone is out of line there, and I'm sure it's not A.J.
They're about to line up double file. 102 laps complete. The distance today, 124 laps, 200 kilometers. There is A.J. Foyt, and there's your top 5.
Now, AJ's calling into his crew and saying, let me ask y'all something, boys. Am I a lap down or am I on the pole?
Boy, oh boy.
All right, trivia fans. Who won the 1,000th Winston Cup race, and where and when was it? Greg Fieldman is the only person in the world who knows.
1,000.
1,000, huh?
Here's a hint.
Way before my time.
I don't know now.
Ontario Motor Speedway, 1971, Anthony Joseph Foyt Jr.
All right.
2 victory lanes.
In the number 21 Woods Brothers Mercury, I bet you.
I'll bet you. Green flag. Mike Skinner brings them down, and he got a good jump on Ernie Irvan and Ted Musgrave in that white Ford.
Mike, that's really important. They get by the lap over traffic there. As you see, Ernie and Skinner both jump way out there. You don't want anything on the inside of you going in the corner here.
Now Jack Sprague and Jeff Bodine. AJ Foyt now on Hornaday. moving up.
Sprague has been working on Jeff Bodine there for a long time. Hasn't been able to put anything on him. And Hornaday is just kind of hanging around the 7th place there. He just doesn't seem to be able to get 6th place. He doesn't seem to be able to get any further up in line.
Hornaday 3rd in the points, cannot advance or lose that spot. He's locked in 3rd for the season in this final race. Mike Skinner trying to win it. 130 points ahead of Joe Ruttman based on their positions at the moment. And Ernie Irvin trying to close ground.
I like the looks of Ernie Irvin right now. That truck is really working well. You see it coming off the corner. It's just as straight as an arrow.
Rick Corelli, Total Petroleum number 6. Right in the midst of this battle, pulling up on Toby Butler's Ortho Ford. And David Green in the 2nd Papa John's truck.
Oh, we're going to go 3 wide. Whoop, no. Legacy thought better of it. They were almost 3 wide down the back again.
That's Legacy in the number 24 DuPont Chevrolet.
That was Johnny Benson in the 18 that moved up through there on the middle part of those 3 trucks down the back straightaway.
That's Benson's where windshield we're looking, or hood we're looking out over there.
There's your separation through the top 5. 18 laps to go.
Mike, they're racing pretty hard up there. You see these trucks going in there. They're switching around. That's Corelli there in the 6th truck going down in the corner. Bliss on the outside. Schrader's right up, tucked up under there. I wouldn't want to be behind these guys trying to get to the front because there's nowhere to go.
Well, if you busted it here, you got all winter to fix it.
Well, not only that, but you know, I just can't believe that Mike Bliss, Rick Corelli, Kenny Schrader, there's guys that have run well other places all year long that just haven't been in the hunt today.
Well, this series is just getting ultra competitive. And it's getting to be like Winston Cup racing. If you miss the setup, that's where you're going to be racing.
It sure seems that way today.
There's Joe Ruttman battling at the lead of that pack. But Ruttman is back in 9th place today.
Yeah, and you heard Joe say at the break, we're 1.5 off. And we don't know whether to work on it or not.
Let's find out from Larry McReynolds.
Okay, I talked to Joe Ruttman's crew. During the break, they put 1.5 rounds of bite in the truck and put a pound of air in the left rear. All of those things is to tighten the truck up. That they did accomplish from the center off. But Darrell, you may reflect on this comment that Joe made to his crew chief. The truck's just not getting good side bite now.
Yeah, what he's talking about is because the racetrack is so flat, the thing's just, it won't roll over. In other words, it won't roll over on that right front and turn. It's setting too flat. Maybe he's got too big a sway bar in the car or in the truck, and it just won't roll over and get a bite and turn up off the corner. It's skating the front tires, in other words.
Look at this crowd. They were 3 wide, and again, Legacy thought about going 3 wide again in the midst of this.
That 07 truck, is that Barry Bodine?
No, that's Jeff.
07,
I'm sorry.
Resendez.
07.
Yeah.
I thought you said that old 7 truck.
Well, that one too.
Yeah, 07 is Dave Resendez.
A 75 truck up there on the left-hand corner of Sedgwick. He was on the outside pole and shredded the tire early and hadn't been a factor since.
No. You know, Resendez started the year in that truck, didn't he?
Yes, the plan was for Resendez, the former modified and Busch Series driver. He leased a shop to Jeff Bodine. His deal was to run Jeff's truck team, and when Jeff couldn't be there to drive, he would drive the truck. And so for the last race, well, we got 2 trucks. We got all winter to fix them. Let's both run. Next truck race, March '96, Homestead, Florida. On the new speedway there. Here's Bodine. He and Jack Sprague have been exchanging bumpers.
They have been going at it for, I mean, ever since really the break. They have just been all over each other. Sprague will get inside, then he'll get alongside, but Jeff keeps holding the position.
Darrell, they've run 112 laps and they've raced each other for 111.
They have, that's a fact.
Rick Corelli under Joe Ruttman. That's another long-standing battle for 9th spot as well.
Ruttman and I think that's David Green coming right in there behind.
There's Ruttman, and you see there's David Green. Oops. And there's Rick Corelli just in front of them in the total Chevy. Glenn?
You were talking about Jack Sprague, guys, and when the caution came out a few laps ago, I thought that was going to cost Jack a position or 2. He had just radioed in and told Dennis Conner, man, this thing is loose, loose, loose. Dennis told him, well, just hang on. There's only 25 laps to go. But I tell you, the boy's doing a good job. He has done a good job in the last 4 or 5 races in that Budweiser truck. And he has signed a deal to drive for Rick Hendrick for the next 2 years. So he's got a home. He's happy about that, doing a good job today, hanging on to a loose truck.
Well, it's good to see Jack expand his horizons. He was mainly a Concord, North Carolina racetrack expert. That's what everybody accused him of, and it's good to see him do well on all the tracks we've been
accused him of. What's wrong with doing well?
Well, that was the only track he really ever ran well at, and so he was kind of known as the guy that ran well at Concord.
Oh, say it. Go ahead and say it. Go ahead.
Fred Wanke gave him that name.
One track Jack?
That's it.
Okay.
Meanwhile, we're down to the part of this race that's going to really matter now. With less than 10 laps to go, push comes to shove now. Who wants to race the most? And all the way back through here, there's so much competition going on. It's hard to know who to really go and look at, because they're racing for position all the way around the track.
Well, I know one guy that's saying, not yet, not yet, not yet.
Who?
Richard Childress.
Right.
He's telling Skinner, I don't know if you got anything. Not yet.
But Ernie is closing on that 3 truck.
But if he gets up there.
Now here's Ruttman again on the inside of Corelli.
He's not going to get him. Well, I just want to do that one time. That's over now.
Spin in turn 1, Schrader and flames from the left front wheel well. They go out. He's down off the racetrack on the access road to the garage area, and that's where he's headed, is to the garage. And look, here comes Ernie Irvan.
Well, that's a great battle. That's a Ford versus Chevrolet, and a guy that wants to win a race and a guy that wants to win a championship.
6 laps to go this time by.
Mike, no disrespect to Mike Skinner, because everybody likes him. Everybody wants him to do well. Trouble in just a little brush up there. What I was going to say is...
Sorry, it wasn't trouble. It was just Jack Sprague flat sideways. It wasn't trouble.
Everybody would like to see Mike Skinner champion. He's had a great year, but wouldn't it be heartwarming to see Ernie Irvan come home victorious today?
Well, you know, if he wasn't driving a Ford, Skinner and Childress might consider that, but I think since it's a Ford versus Chevrolet, that's a big battle as well, manufacturer-wise.
Nonetheless, Irvan is closing. The big question is, will time run out? Richard Childress on the horn to his driver, Mike Skinner.
And I'm not saying that they would pull over and let him win. I'm just saying that he might not race him so hard if it was not that type of a situation.
You heard what Skinner said about the halfway point. I should have let that. I needed the money. You think he's going to let the race get away, do you?
That's right. Well, he seems to be able to open that gap between he and Ernie at will.
Boy, Rick Corelli looked like he about got a piece of the wall in turn 2 and lost a spot to Ruttman, David Green, and Bill Sedgwick. Countdown laps, 4 to go.
I would have to say, probably watching Mike Skinner in the corner and all, I think he's probably took the bridle off this thing now. I think he's doing everything he can. Now it's just up to who wants to win the most.
Jeff Bodine and Ted Musgrave.
Whoa. What happened to Teddy?
Change of 3rd position.
I guess the handles come off of that 61 just a little wee bit, because Jeff is zoomed right on past.
Now there's Joe Ruttman, who came in here with a chance to win this championship. Right now he's in 8th place. David Green is 9th. Bill Sedgwick is 10th. Right behind them, and there are 3 to go. How frustrating must it be for Ernie Irvan to be that close and not be able to get any closer?
Well, I know he'd love to win. It would just establish that comeback a little bit more. But he picked a bad guy to be challenging, actually.
Well, like you say, that 3 truck handles awful good down the straightaway. He's got a lot of hump down that straightaway, and Ernie's driving his heart out. But I would imagine they said, listen, the best place is in front. Don't get into a dogfight if you can help it.
Yeah, Ernie closes up big time getting in the corner, but boy, Skinner's truck just accelerates so hard up off the corner.
White flag. So Mike Skinner is 1 lap away from the inaugural Super Truck by Craftsman Series championship. The journeyman driver from California who moved east, swept the shop at Richard Petty's, had a couple of pickup rides, started a few Winston Cup races, took a long time for him to get his career on track. He rented some equipment from Richard Childress. Childress kept an eye on him, liked what he saw, named Skinner to drive his super truck, and as he takes the checkered flag, Mike Skinner is the first Super Truck by Craftsman Series champion, wins the battle and the war. Ernie Irvan comes home a couple of tenths of a second behind in second place.
Well, folks, I always say, how do you win a championship? What would you do? What would you do? That's what you're supposed to do right there. You start up front, you run up front, you stay up front, and you win the race. This guy, I saw him win the pole in the Busch race at Charlotte, and I asked myself, who is Mike Skinner? I'd never heard of him. I guarantee you everybody's heard of Mike Skinner today.
Well, I think the other story is that Ernie's truck was not quite as fast the first 10 laps of restart, and it was pretty much established, and that gap never changed after they got going.
Mike Skinner, a winner and champion. We'll speak with him after this. Victory Lane is brought to you by Chevy Trucks, the most dependable, longest lasting trucks on the road, and a Chevy sits in Victory Lane. Here's Glenn.
And Mike Skinner has just crawled from his GM Goodwrench service truck, hoisting the Craftsman toolbox. Jump down here, big guy. Congratulations, what a great job, and what an awesome pickup truck you had today.
Well, I'll tell you, this GM Goodwrench service Chevrolet was tough today. I tell you, we went in there at halftime. We said, I think we could make a couple of adjustments and win the race, and we got thinking about, nah, let's just look at the big picture. And they did a couple of air pressure. Will Lynn and these guys, man, they're the best halftime guys in the business, I'll tell you. And you can't win nothing laying back. We just had to go for it, and we got a pretty good lead on Ernie there early, and they said, you're using an awful lot of tire getting out there. And I said, I'm not slipping. As long as I'm not slipping them, I'm not backing off. So, I tell you, Ernie run a good race. He filled that mirror up pretty good all day, but good deal for us.
Well, Mike, as I said at the beginning of the show, this started here in Phoenix last February. You said then you won the race. You wanted to be the first Super Truck champion. You have achieved that goal now. How does it feel?
Well, I'll tell you what, without people like Eddie Lanier and Robert Scott, Will Lynn, Richie Burgess, car owners like Richard and Judy Childress, you can't do nothing. Equipment makes all the difference in the world, and I'll tell you, I expected this race motor today not to run as good as it did. I went and told Eddie, I said, Eddie, dig that old cam and all that stuff heads off the shelf that we won this thing with earlier in the year. And he said, nah, we can't do that. We're going to have to look at the big picture. I'll tell you, Eddie, this thing was running, this thing was hauling butt, I'll tell you. Good motor.
Well, it certainly was. Richard Childress has stepped in to congratulate him now, and the big picture is over. They've won it all, Mike.
Thanks, Glenn, for Richard Childress. His 7th NASCAR championship in 10 years. 6 Winston Cup titles with Dale Earnhardt, and now a Super Truck championship with Mike Skinner. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Phoenix International Raceway. You're looking at second place finisher Ernie Irvan. Nice truck run, Ernie, but just not quite enough.
Yeah, I tell you, three truck, like I said in the interview during the halftime, they're some of the best at working their truck out and getting it a little better. And we actually run faster speeds at the end, and he was just a little bit better. But I tell you, my guys did a great job, and Napa and United came aboard, and we're happy with all that stuff.
Okay, congratulations, Ernie Irvan, now getting ready to prepare for his Winston Cup run here tomorrow at Phoenix. He'll start 14th. We'll be back to wrap things up from Phoenix International Raceway right after this.
Welcome back, everybody. Here's a look at the finish today. Busy crowd at the TNN Souvenir Trailer, of course. Buddy Baker there signing autographs. Free hats. Mike Skinner, the winner. Ernie Irvan, Jeff Bodine. As you have a look back through the field, 40 trucks, the largest Super Truck Series field ever for today's event. For Buddy Baker, Glenn Jarrett, Randy Pemberton, and all the folks that have helped us, Larry McReynolds, throughout the season. I'm Mike Joy, congratulating not only Mike Skinner, but everybody who did a great job with the Super Truck by Craftsman Series in its inaugural season, 1995. What a tremendous launch, and we'll cap it off with a look at the heroes.